Basil grows like a weed throughout Arizona's long, hot summers, but since it dies back in the cold, I try to make a big batch of pesto at the end of the growing season. To make pesto, all you've got to do is combine basil, Parmesan cheese, garlic, pine nuts, salt, pepper, and olive oil in a food processor and run it until it is pasty. However, pesto is flexible. You could substitute the pine nuts for any other nut, which will likely make it a bit less expensive. You could swap the parm for nutritional yeast to make it vegan. You could swap the basil, pesto's main ingredient, for something like arugula and still call it arugula pesto. This green condiment is the culinary world's ship of Theseus precisely because of how often people will replace any or all of its traditional ingredients. Technically speaking, someone might call it more of a pistou, but culturally speaking, especially outside of Italy, people generally understand pesto as a reference point, not a monolith. If you saw kale pesto on a menu, you would expect it to taste less herbaceous than basil pesto, but you would at least have some idea of what you're in for. This combination of ingredients is classic Genoese pesto. Except not really, because pesto comes from the Latin pestare, which means to crush or pound. Traditional pesto is made in a mortar and pestle, thus crushing the basil instead of shredding it, yielding a different texture and flavor, the same way salsa molcajete comes out noticeably different from one that was made in a blender. If it feels like I'm breezing past important points, it's because this has all just been my preemptive acknowledgement of gripes that purist commenteurs are sure to have with my laissez-faire attitude towards pesto. I would much rather get past how to make it and instead show you how to use it. A lot of the initial uses for extra pesto are just going to be a rehash of my curry paste video. Plop some pesto in a pan and fry eggs in it to make pesto eggs. It's a little Seussian, but Sam I ain't, so green eggs are back on the menu. You could mix pesto into a basic vinaigrette for a dressing that works on leafy greens or pasta salads. You can mix pesto into mayo for a condiment that makes any sandwich taste more herbaceous, like this one with thin-cut chicken breast and tomato. Remember that old video where I show you how to make salmon crusted with panko breadcrumbs, oil, and nuts? Well, if you mix 3 parts panko with 1 part pesto, you've got olive oil, pine nuts, and a whole lot of flavor in 1 bowl of crumbs ready to encrust a fillet of baked fish. Press it into the flesh of the fish and then bake it skin side down at 400 till it reaches 120 internal, about 15 minutes. The most common way to use pesto is in pasta, and while the value of saving your pasta water has become common knowledge by now, I want to reinforce that by showing you what happens when you make that water as starchy as possible. This means taking a little pot or even a skillet and boiling 1 or 2 quarts of water instead of 1 or 2 gallons. Season it with way less salt than usual and boil the pasta just shy of al dente. Pour some pasta water into a mug in case you end up needing more, but leave some in the pan. Remember, this is easily twice as starchy as regular pasta water. Now lower the heat to a gentle simmer and plop a dollop of stow into the pan. Most of the water will evaporate and absorb, and you can use the reserved water to dilute things as needed. This is now a stirring game. By the time the pasta has softened to al dente status, the starchy water emulsifies into the oily pesto, and you're left with a pasta that's fully integrated with a velvety pesto sauce. It should not just be covering the surface in a green, speckly oil slick. It's soaked into every inch. If I had to guess which food was most synonymous with basil, I would guess caprese, a dish that leans hard on big slices of summer tomatoes, but you can replicate that vibe all year long when you keep small portions of pesto in the freezer. Think about a caprese panzanella with halved cherry tomatoes. Those are much easier to grow year-round than a big heirloom beefsteak tomato. Consider the caprese grilled cheese, not with fresh tomato, but rather chunks of sun-dried tomatoes combined with mozzarella and pesto. I could really pad this video's runtime by listing all the ways you can combine pesto with ground meats. Imagine lamb meatballs infused with mint pesto, or following a regular crab cake recipe and subbing pesto for the typical mayo. But if I am to wrap up my call for late season pesto making, it would be with this dish, the one that I am most likely to throw together for any given dinner time. Take a bundle of broccolini and cook it over high heat with oil and salt. You could do this with an outdoor grill or a strong broiler if hot pans freak you out. The goal is to apply extreme heat so you get a spotty char quickly enough to leave the interior tender crisp. When it is cooked to your liking, take it off the heat and into a bowl of pesto. Toss this together and the charred florets will cling to all that bright garlicky sauce. Crucifers, like broccoli, come into season in the wintertime, and I enjoy pairing seasonal cold weather veg with preserved summer sentiment. Swoosh some full-fat ricotta onto a serving dish and lay the pesto broccolini on top. Garnish the dish with sliced almonds, bonus points for toasting them first, plus lemon zest, black pepper, and a little parm or pecorino. Any of the excess pesto that drips off the broccolini will mix into the creamy ricotta as you eat, bringing fat, flavor, texture, and color to an otherwise plain, soft cheese, perfect for swiping up with bread or crackers. If you are living in the Northern Hemisphere, a big batch of November pesto is your ticket to summertime cheer well into the new year. As for the Southern Hemi, there's still time to plant some basil out back and grow a year's supply before first frost. Take it from someone who's reaping, you really gotta sow. Helix has paid to be mentioned at the end of this video. I dare anyone to post their sleep data to prove any living being can snooze like me. I'm hitting 9.5 hours with a toddler. That's like a triple-double with a case of the flu and lead shoes on. I really do be sleeping. My current chariot to dreamland is the Helix Midnight Luxe with the Glacio Tex cooling cover. It's the model that won Best Mattress overall on Forbes and Wired, and it's also the one I got matched with according to the way that I sleep. If you visit Helix's website to take their quiz, you will know which mattress is best suited to you. If you do decide to purchase a Helix mattress, you get a 120-night sleep trial to decide as to whether you like it or not, and returns or exchanges are completed with ease. Go to helixsleep.com/internetshaquille as soon as you see this because there is a legitimately good sale happening for Black Friday. Helix is doing a 27% off sale site-wide, and it's already live by the time you're seeing this. If a luxury mattress is something that you have been in the market for, this sale might be right up your alley. I typed the link out in the description if you want to tap it or click it without typing it all out. helixsleep.com/internetshaquille.